And now on to Mr. Bill Mitchell. Have you got the microphone, Bill? Now, actually, Bill, can you pass the mic? Well, you have to.
Well, he doesn't need a microphone.
Drop the mic. Drop the mic. Right. Hello. Now, the first time I met you, Mr. Bill Mitchell,
well, before we get to me, if we could finish with Walter. He will move on to further challenges, but what he does and what he enjoys, which is here, he first told me he was going to stop doing this because he was going to go on to other challenges. I do believe he'll go to other challenges, but he won't stop doing this. The first time he told me this, that he was going to stop, was 1986. He's not going anywhere, although, again, he doesn't go out and put on major events like, I mean, my sympathies for Brian and his crew here and all that they go through. He used to do things to that level. Now he adds as much color to it as he can in every way that he can, like he is here. So he'll do less, but he'll always be a part of what's happening.
Of course, it's just a very long farewell tour. The first time I met you, Bill, was in a London hotel room in 2005.
What are you trying to say?
Where you forced your hot sauce down my throat, as we can see here. So I'd just like to say that it was very nice and very memorable, and it still stings.
You're right. People believe anything they see, so that's okay.
Thank you. But of course, you've travelled the world because of video games. I just wanted to ask you, is that what opportunities do you think playing video games has given you in your life?
Well, when I was in the offices of Masaya Nakamoto at Namco, when he walked in with himself and his inner circle of marketers and programmers, what I explained to them, which is certainly true, is what I take from video games, what it brought out in me, what it forever scarred in my personality, was a competitive edge to do better and better and better and better. And it didn't matter how well I did, I wanted to do better. Not that I ever brag, but for example, at different games at different times in the 80s, I was playing a game and I'd be playing a game at a level and there was nobody who was near me, but it didn't matter, I was always against myself. And I always did the best when I competed against myself. And it was video games that brought me to that. So the fact is, long after video games, being in business, being a father, being a husband, I'm constantly, I guess I'm hard on myself, wanting to be better and better and better and better.
You mentioned you're a father. Would you encourage your son to take a similar route that you have had in playing video games?
Okay, well, I didn't have to encourage him. He played games obsessively. Of course, they were home games. He first played arcade games because we never had any home games. He played Pac-Man, he called it the biting game, and he called Donkey Kong the monkey game. But that quickly died once a home game was given to us by a friend, and he came in. And without lying, I really toyed at the idea. I'm in his room, it's late. I mean, I wake up at 4:30 in the morning, I go to the bathroom, I go in his room and he's playing games. And so I toyed with the idea of just taking it from him. But I was tortured as to whether or not I should do that or not, because he had a 4.9 grade point average. He made it difficult for me to argue with him. And so the fact is, I never did take it from him, but to answer your question, he went off to college and he said to me, he said he had to focus in college. He said, I can't take these with me. And he didn't. And to be honest, that's something that I don't know that I would have the focus to do when I was his age. I mean, I wouldn't have. There was nothing that stopped me from playing games when I was his age, except I couldn't play at home, I had to travel.
The picture we've got up now...
No, I wouldn't encourage him.
The picture we've got up now is probably the image that most people around the world will recognise of you, with the raised thumb, the stars and stripes tie, possibly Pac-Man somewhere nearby. I just wanted to know that that's kind of become your persona. Do you find that can sometimes be a burden, that people expect you to act and say things in a certain way? And can that ever be somewhat of a weight on your shoulders?
So you're looking for some dirt here?
Well,
the answer is no, not at all. Not even a smidgen. But to expand on your answer a little bit, it's actually made me somewhat of a better person. People who know me, I'm an aggressive driver. I have my right to road rage. And the fact of the matter is, I don't do that anymore. I know I can't because people recognize me. So if that means I want to set a good example or I don't want to get in trouble, I don't know. But the fact is, it's caused me to be a better person. Richie picks on me in a nice way. He says I don't cuss. And really I don't, and not that I haven't or I haven't had a moment but people listen to what I say, especially kids. So I have to express myself differently and I have to be more creative. You know, I call somebody a jack-in-the-box. You all know what I'm saying, but I don't say the wrong thing. You know, Richie will pick on me and I'll say, oh, you're full of sugar, and that's nothing sweet. So it does make me a better person without lying to you. And
I'm intrigued.
As far as a burden, I promised myself in the very beginning, not in the beginning, not in the 80s. In the 80s, people would recognize me if they were like people that had game magazines, or once in a while, I'd be in a carnival, somebody would stop me. But it wasn't until the late 1990s with the internet and with Perfect Pac-Man that people on a daily basis would recognize me. And I promised myself I would never be that guy that wouldn't give an autograph, that wouldn't do a selfie, that wouldn't answer a question, wouldn't shake a hand.
You mentioned the Perfect Pac-Man, which certainly brought you to prominence, and you were somewhat of a hero, and you were famous. And then you starred in this film in 2007, King of Kong, and your fame went to infamy. And most people who didn't know you would assume, oh, he's the bad guy, he's the arrogant one, he's the rude one. I want to know, when that film was being made, were you aware of how you were being portrayed?
Okay, to answer the question first, I wouldn't have it any other way. If you think it's as much fun, if you don't think it's more fun being the bad guy than being the crybaby, then you don't know what you're talking about. The fact of the matter is, no, we didn't know what the film was being made. There was really a tremendously broad scope of film footage. There really was. And we thought it was simply an historical aspect of gaming overall, which is similar to what Chasing Ghosts did. But the truth is, so many of you will learn here for the first time, I don't want to say crybaby, Mr. Steve, two producers and a director, they have ties that go back to childhood, back to grade school. And I was given an article in a Seattle newspaper where it said, friends achieve success, they make a movie. And they said the idea of the movie came out of, they were all sitting, having a beer, or as you would say, having a pint. And they were having it in a bar, and that's where the idea of the movie came up. They did film a tremendous amount of stuff, but in the Austin newspaper, the director was quoted as saying, we determined the direction of film before we ever met Billy Mitchell. So we actually didn't know. We were made different promises and commitments from them that they didn't keep, but they didn't keep them. Everybody here, you know, everybody here, we're friends, we don't lie, we tell the truth, we assume other people do. In the world of Hollywood business, but certainly in the world of Hollywood, that's a dangerous thing. So they made the film they made, and they were successful at it. And if I see people, which I've never had a negative encounter face to face. Richie missed his calling in life when he had a show and he could have marketed it because the last 5 minutes of the show was hate mail with Billy Mitchell. And I would forward him the hate mail and his ratings would skyrocket on his podcast. It was everybody's favorite thing, and the fact of the matter is that I wouldn't change anything the way that it happened. And however successful they were at the film, whether you enjoyed it or you didn't, whether you were happy or sad or whoever you rooted for, it was a film that wasn't thought-provoking. It provided emotion. It made some people wacky. Believe me, I can tell you stories that would scare you. But they made a great film. And if you watch it and you say, this is a great movie, you have no problems with it at all. I don't, Walter doesn't, no one does. But if you, as we first thought it was a historical documentary, then yeah, you would have problems with it. Because forget the good guy, bad guys, there's all kinds of mistakes. So I don't look at it as saying, gee, they did us wrong. I look at it and I say, they made a great movie. We go around, all of us, and we have things on the record and we do things historically and we answer the questions. They made a great film. That's what they did. And so I don't look at it and say, gee, Steve, you deceived us. Steve made a movie. Steve did a good job, as did his friends. It's all your perspective and how you look at it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bill Mitchell, a legend.
Sorry, I'm sorry, I don't answer short questions. I give you the long version.
Sorry, you pass on to Richie. We've just